cold. It's too painful to try, pretending that all the old feelings
The one I'm choosing to highlight today is meaning comes from making a difference. And what that means to me personally is every single person in this room has the ability to make a difference either in someone's life or in their own community, or even in your own life. You have the power to make a difference. So I heard this story. So a neutron walks into a bar, orders a beer, and asks how much it'll be, and the bartender says, "For you, no charge." Thank you. All right. So we have a great lineup today. Our musician is eclectic writer and indie rock and roll folk musician GALVEZTON, and our main talk is from Andrea Murray, going to talk about how to spot skin cancer. So without further ado, we will be hearing 2 songs from GALVEZTON.
Good morning, y'all. This song is called Origami. A few hours ago, I got up and walked across the street to the beach. And it was so beautiful. I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. I took off my clothes and walked into the water, and it was really cold. And for some reason I felt like the pink sun. There was no breeze and the water was all glassy and clear. And it felt like the thing to do. And that's what this song's about. Early in the morning, I take my prisoner down to the waterside. I always said thank you, and then I go under, and they look at me like I am the madman. What if there was a place that we could go to? What if there was a way to get there? What if I surrender? Cranes of origami are hanging in the window. Despite what they say in the streets, they still look much the same. The landlords are selling, rents are raising. We got to keep on moving. What if there was a place that we could go to? What if there was a way to get there? What if I surrender? What if there was a place that we could go to. What if there was a way to get there? What if there was a place that we could go to? What if there was a way to get there? What if I surrender? Thanks, y'all. They told me, Jake, that there's no community speaker today, or no community highlight or something this morning, so we have a little bit extra time, potentially. There was kind of question if they're going to play 4 songs or 5 songs or 3 songs, and we're kind of going along with it, but I figured since there seems to be a little wiggle room, I'd introduce myself a little bit and talk to some of y'all for a second while I'm up here in between the songs, and kind of it makes for an interesting experience sometimes to hear little stories behind the songs and behind the music. I feel like sometimes when I'm going to show myself, I'm always interested in, and some people are like, just shut up and sing, dude. You're like, okay, yeah, that too, you know, there's a time for that. People are dancing and stuff, you know, but this is a different kind of thing. But yeah, I've played here a few times from a few different locations. Over the years, a friend of mine, TC, I met one time, used to do this, and now my friend Pete organizes the music, and every once in a while I get the call to come play, and it's always a pleasure. And over the years, I've gotten to see some familiar faces and get to know some of y'all a little bit from our little Sunday morning experiences from all over town, really. I mean, y'all have been here for a while, been seeing this thing grow, so I always like to kind of keep it fresh. And I kind of try to remember what it was that I played last time to play something different. And but you know what? Sometimes you just play what you're feeling, and so that's what I'm going to do today. This song, next song that I'm going to play, I know I played one time before when it was in an auditorium, and I brought many different kinds of musicians to come play with me over the years at different times. And this one, I brought a friend that had an electric guitar, and he came and played with me. There's been a time when I've had a woman that has played the violin come accompany me. Her name's Susan. Another time there was a man that plays the bass with a project we play with. And the time I played this song was a man named Rob Basher was with us on the electric guitar in the auditorium, and it was beautiful. And the song is called Screen Savior. And this morning after I jumped in the ocean and woke up, I got in my car to make it here on time for sound check and everything, to be easy going like that, and gave myself a little extra time just in case for anything. And about as I hit the causeway, I realized that I'd left my telephone at home. It might be something that y'all are familiar with, and sometimes if you're kind of away from home for a little while, you use your phone for different tasks or other stuff throughout the day to kind of help you get through. And I was like, well, I got there, I was like, do I really need it? And I was like, go back and get it, but I'm like, no, I don't want to go all the way back there. So I was like, I think I know where the place is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. And so I drove up 45 and got here and started exiting the museum district into this area. And there's so many crisscrossy roads that go this way and that way. And I've been to the Montrose before, but all of a sudden I'm deep in the Montrose again. And I'm like, it's like one of those dreams, like, oh no, I'm supposed to be there. And what am I going to do? I don't have anybody to call, and I don't even remember anybody's phone numbers anymore if I did find a payphone. And they don't sell maps anymore at gas stations like they used to, I found out this morning, nor at CVS, because I remembered it was like a Bernard Street or something I had in my head. But they don't sell them, and most of the local people don't know what you're talking about when you're asking questions. So I said, well, calm down, Robert, and retrace your steps to where you remember you knew where you were. And so I did that, and then I got on the right track and made it here. I felt so happy. This song is called Screensaver. It's about technology. There's a thing. I got some books back there for sale. I got some guitars to tune. Anyway, the books is from a lot of journals that I used to keep, and I'm a writer, an avid writer, and write all kinds of weird stuff all the time. Whatever pops into my head first, I usually keep rolling with it. And in those days, I was traveling around Central America and South America a lot. And I kept journals and got to a time when I was injured and couldn't work anymore or really go anywhere. And I got a hold of a computer and put all those journals onto the computer and ended up with thousands of pages of words that I eventually edited down into a nice story format, and they're back there. But one of the tricks I learned, if you're ever out walking around in the jungle and you get lost, because it happens sometimes, you know, everything starts to look the same. Well, the thing is, there's little spirits out there, they say. This is what the old timers will tell you, that they'll get on your back and they'll get on your shirt and they'll make you get lost on the trail so everything looks the same. And you could walk around for days in the jungle. And however, if you know this trick, you just take your shirt off, turn it on inside out, put it back on again, and then you'll find your way. You know what I talk about. Someday we'll figure you out. Remember December used to be the other way. I can see you peeking, hide and seek and screensaver behavior. Activate the enemy, 'cause they all already know where you are. And they all already know where you are. Save your breath and stay. 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 'Cause they all already know where you are. And they all know. At the bottom of the ocean, there's a telescope, and I seen it, I mean it. Try to look the other way, 'cause they all already know where you are. And they all Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. We will be hearing 2 more songs from him later. I was going to be really impressed if you not only found a map, but were able to read it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
GPS became a thing in my lifetime. You put a map in front of me, like, is this one of those activity books I had when I was a kid? What point do I help Robin find Batman through the maze?
It's not just about folding it. It's the fold that gets
Is
you.
it?
Yeah, it's the fold that gets you.
It's like my earliest technology of navigation is remembering my mom printing up Google Maps. So our main talk today is how to spot skin cancer. Andrea Murray is a senior community relations specialist from the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, and her presentation will address how to spot skin cancer. So without further ado, Andrea Murray.
All right, good morning. Can you guys hear me? Okay, wonderful. My name is Andrea Murray. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been at MD Anderson for about 15 years. I was telling someone earlier. And one of the ways I love making a difference is just working for a place where I'm able to go and talk to people. When I first went to MD Anderson, you know, it's such a big place, and working with different people, thank you. Oh, yes, there we go. Okay, working with different people can always bring its challenges, right? And so working with patients had its own challenges. But then when I was able to go out in the community and meet different groups and see different people, and really talk to people, before they came to a place like MD Anderson, that's where I feel like I can make the most difference. So it's truly an honor to be here this morning and to see new faces. And I always encourage people before I give my presentations to please share this information. You never know when you might be sitting next to a person who could be going through something that you telling your story or you sharing your information could help them with. So sometimes the person who needs to hear this information may not be in a room. It could be someone you know. So please, like, if you take, in the back you have there's a handout, and there's sunscreen, and there's hand sanitizer. Okay, so you can take that, I'm gonna leave all of it, so take as many as you want, and just share the information, okay? So today I'm gonna go through how to spot skin cancer. This is one of many presentations. All these presentations we do are free. I'm always looking for opportunities to go out in the community, so if you belong to like a work group or another group and you want to bring this presentation or something like it, you can just reach out to us, and I'll have something at the very end that'll show how to contact us. And as long as I can get 10 people or more together, then I can be there. We also do these presentations virtually, so it's another good opportunity to meet people as well too. Okay, so let's get started. Since I'm right here, we'll go here. So how to spot skin cancer. Okay, so the overview for today, we're going to go into what cancer is, because, you know, usually when I talk about cancer, either people are affected by it either personally, you may have known someone with cancer, or, you know, someone has died from cancer, or just sometimes people are in fear of cancer. So I want to alleviate the fear and at least talk about what it is. We'll go through, of course, skin cancer, ways you can reduce your risk of skin cancer, and how screening and early detection can be beneficial. So we'll go through all those things today. All right, so first let's talk about what is cancer, okay? So in our body, we have all different types of cells, okay? So one thing with cancer, it's just not one thing, okay? Because we have different types of cells in our body, we could have cancer in any of those different types of cells, okay? So on this image, you see in the middle, so a big clump of abnormal cells, then you see healthy cells, okay? So cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. That's really what it is. It's the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. Now, not all abnormal cell growth going to be cancerous. Sometimes, like here, we have a mass that's forming. It's called a tumor. As you know, a lot of tumors are benign, meaning that they're not cancerous. There's no cancer cells present. The difference between benign tumors is that they don't spread to other parts of the body. Typically, a lot of times they can be removed, and they don't threaten someone's life usually. Now, cancerous cells are different. Okay, cancerous cells, they basically, once they form, they want to explore and colonize other parts of your body and other cells, which is why I always encourage people that even if someone is not interested in changing their diet or stopping their behaviors, you want to stay on top of screening exams. Because if cancer is present, you want to catch it at this stage. You want to catch it where it can be removed and easily treated and before it spreads to other parts of your body. That's going to make it easier on you, less expensive, less adversive to you and your health, okay? All right, so questions for you guys sometimes. All right, you can just raise your hand. Raise your hand or give me a thumbs up if you think there's more than one type of skin cancer. Yes, of course. And this was said, of course, like we did these during COVID times where most things were virtual, so a lot of things will be thumbs up, but I always tell people raising your hand is just as fine. So yes, there's definitely more different types of skin cancer. So we'll go through what some of those are. All right, so these are some of the main types of skin cancers. I'm going to go through all three of these, okay? Basal cell, the first two are the most common. We have basal cell carcinoma. We have squamous skin cell carcinoma. Now, basal cell carcinoma accounts for about 90% of skin cancers, okay, here in the U.S. They're slow-growing cancers, thank goodness, right? So if it's slow-growing, gives you more of an opportunity to kind of be like, well, is this growing or not? And to really pay attention to it and take it in. It seldom spreads to other parts of the body, so that's another good thing. So even if that skin cell cancer has been there for 5 years, it's slow-growing, it's less likely to spread, which means it's easier to be removed, okay? Now, squamous cell carcinoma, these spread faster, okay? They spread a lot faster and account for a little bit more in your body, so we'll go through that as well. And then the last one is melanoma, okay? Melanoma is more rare. Melanoma is a fast-growing cancer, okay? This is one that will spread faster, so if melanoma is present, you want to recognize that and you want to be able to get that treated much quicker, okay? The main thing, you'll hear me say this multiple times, is just you knowing your body. Like, I'm all for doctors and experts, but you're with your body 24/7, right? You know the history of your body, you know what's normal, you know what's not normal. So don't underestimate something that your gut's telling you might be off or not right. Even if someone tells you, well, I don't think it's anything, but if you feel differently, you want to go in and still have that checked, okay? So I'm going to show you some examples here. All right, so these are hard to spot. Sometimes these look like common things, okay? So this first one, we're going to go through all these here in a minute, might look very common, may just look like dry skin, but sometimes you have precancerous type of skin formations before skin cancer develops. And so again, you want to just be like, just sometimes watching things, just sharing it with your doctor and just having them look at that. The two in the middle are going to be your squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, so and I'm going to go through these here in a little bit later. And number 4 is a melanoma. Melanoma is always going to be darker. Okay, and you see in this one, it's behind a gentleman's ear. Okay, so who looks behind their ears? You can't see behind your ears, right? It's kind of hard to see that. So it's another reason why you want to be able to sometimes have other people look at you, a partner, or even like if you go to a doctor and have your body examined, they will look at these hard to reach places that maybe is hard for you to see. Okay. Let's go through this one here. This is premalignant keratosis. Okay, these are precancerous cells, and again, they're more likely to turn to cancer than a healthy skin. So these would not be removed with creams or like if you're putting lotion on them, they'll still look the same. Okay, it can appear as rough or red or brown or scaly patches. The thing you want to do is that they call it precancerous. Just means that these are abnormal cells are present. They don't always turn to cancer, but sometimes they can. So so that's something to kind of keep in mind. Sometimes these are more common in more fair people, okay, or people who are more likely to sunburn. And so that's something, or sometimes in elderly people, these may be more common. So again, something to be aware of, something to watch out for and to talk to your doctor about if you're noticing. And really, your doctor will probably have you watch the area and see what's developing. Okay, now basal cell cancer. So again, this is the more common one, okay, the one that's more slow growing. Okay, so it grows by extending to surrounding areas and destroying normal tissue. It can sometimes ulcerate or bleed or crust over, and sometimes it can metastasize, and meaning that it can turn into something cancerous. One thing with skin cell cancer is that a lot of times it might look small at the top, but if it's spreading underneath, then underneath it could be a lot larger, okay, or spreading to other parts of the body. So another reason why you want to make sure that you are just watching areas of your body, growths, and if you're noticing changes, you're talking to your doctor and having them look at that, okay? Okay, and this is your squamous cell cancer. Okay, this is more aggressive, so that means more aggressive is only going to mean that you're going to notice changes more quickly, okay? Like the other one I showed you before, it's more slower growing, less likely to spread. It might look the same for a while, but if you're going into, let's say, a dermatologist, or sometimes there are doctors that will do just overall skin body checks just to look at different areas. They'll measure them, look at the size, look, maybe even scrape off some cell samples to look from there. But if you're noticing any changes, that's when you especially want to go and jump on that. You don't want to wait, you know, for months to see if it's changing, because if it is cancer, that means it's more likely to spread, okay? They grow deep. So again, squamous cell cancer, it might stay this small on the surface, but underneath it's growing deep and it's spreading. So something else to look in mind. It can be scaly, it can be rough, it's more often found in the head and the neck, or the upper parts of your body, your lip, your backs, or your arms, or those areas. Again, areas that you may not always look at. Okay, oh. All right, and then melanoma, and this is what I was mentioning before. This is more dangerous. You can have irregular spots or moles. You can have moles that maybe were normal for a long time, and then all of a sudden could change into melanomas, and if that happens, they're gonna spread. They're usually gonna have some kind of darkening of the skin, okay, darkening in some areas, and so both of these you can see that. Melanoma is steadily increasing, even though it's more rare. For whatever reason, it's increasing more in people of all ethnicities, ages. It is the leading cause of death in skin diseases, okay, or skin cancers. So again, sometimes it's because it is more aggressive and it is more deadly. It's one of those things where you just need to know your body, know what these changes are, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, hands up. If you give me raise your hand if you think wearing sunscreen is the only protection you need to do when you're outdoors. All right, very good. So we can do all types of things. We live in Houston, right? It's lots of sun, which I love. We get lots of sun. But you want to protect yourself from the sun, okay? The sun's not all bad, but you want to just make sure that you're giving yourself some protection. Everyone now has some sunscreen, but you know, you can wear protective clothing. Sunscreen and SPF is put in so many other things than it used to. When I was younger, I remember people would be slathered in like white pasty stuff that just looked horrible. But nowadays, it's like there's makeup. You don't see it on your skin, you know. So it's sometimes hard to find things that don't have SPF in there. So if you want SPF of 30 or higher, you also can just be in the shade. The shade is going to protect you. You want to protect your children. Sometimes people put sunscreen on themselves, but they don't think about putting it on their kids. And kids, of course, are not going to think about this stuff, right? Because they're kids. They're just going to be running around having fun. And of course, we want to avoid the tanning beds, okay? You can be outside, but you definitely want to avoid the tanning beds. All right, you want to definitely please cover babies as well too. Just keep them covered. You can apply sunscreen to children, and you want to model this for kids. If kids know that when they're going outside and they're wearing sunscreen, it models for them as they get older. That's what they're supposed to do, right? But if you're not putting it on them, then it's going to be kind of like something foreign to them, like as they get older. So this models healthy behaviors and sun safety for kids. Okay. All right. I think this is the last. Yes.
I'd like to say that I have had neighbors that put their little grandchildren in strollers and push them along in the stroller without pulling.
I know, I've seen that, yeah.
And for that I speak up, because it's not only skin cancer, but it's damage to the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't really know what to do when they're that young, that, you know, infants. They're just trying to cover themselves. And they can't speak up and say, hey, I'm hot. I'm burning up here, you know, so, or my skin is burning. So yeah, very true. So it's good that you speak up for that. I sometimes will go walking in the park and I'll see, and I love going to the park, but I'll see a similar type thing and I'm just kind of thinking like, oh, just cover that baby. So yeah, I understand that too. Okay, so now I'll answer this, and you can use sunscreen on a daily basis, okay? It's in a lot of lotions, skincare products, so you definitely want to do that. And you don't need a lot of sunscreen. You really don't need about a thumb's worth, okay? It doesn't need to be a whole lot. You don't have to slather yourself in all of this stuff. It's in there, just rub it in like lotion. Cover the areas that are gonna be exposed to the sun, especially in cars. Like some people get like what they call farmer's tans, and they don't think about, you're in the sun, you have this sunbeam just sitting there coming on your skin. So just make sure to make it a part of your routine. Okay, and also make sure to practice awareness. And this is a key. This is just you're knowing your body. I use this term in any type of skin, any kind of cancer presentation. You're going to know your body more than anyone, and you want to find a medical professional you feel comfortable with, and you feel like that listens to you, and that you and that medical professional can work together in your health. So you want to find someone that listens, but you also want to listen to the body that you have and the changes that are going on. So even if a partner or someone else notices a change, then that's something you want to be able to still tell your doctor. And I've seen that happen a lot. I've seen people say, well, I think this is okay, but my wife says that, this is changing, and the wife was right? The wife is she may have noticed these things. So sometimes seeing areas on your back or behind your ear, you don't see them as often as other people. One thing that's key here, and I like this, because this is what you want to practice when you're looking at your skin. You want to look for asymmetry. Okay, if things usually come in symmetrical, like moles are usually symmetrical, skin tags are symmetrical in some way. But if it's forming some kind of asymmetry, like maybe it's seeming like maybe parts of the area is darker or changing than the other, that's one thing. You want to look at the border, okay? The border is the border of the mole or area. Is it irregular or ill-defined? Now, it doesn't mean that it is cancerous. It just means you want to go and have it looked at, okay? So this doesn't mean that these are cancer. It just means you want to have it looked at. You want to have it examined, okay? You want to look at the color. Is this uneven throughout the area? Is it all the same color, or is it changing and looking uneven? Or has it darkened over time? You want to look at diameter, okay? If a mole is larger than 6 inches in diameter, that's something you want to be aware of and kind of think, okay, let me at least see this might be growing, because if it's that big, you may not notice that it's getting bigger because it's already large, okay? And of course, if it is evolving, enlarging, expanding in any way, please definitely have that looked at, okay? And so these are some, we call these the ABCs of skin care safety. All right. Couple more things here. Definitely get screen cancer exams. Even though I'm from MD Anderson, I'm not trying to get people to just come to MD Anderson. Go where you feel comfortable. I know there's a lot of places that will do skin screenings, so go to your local doctor's office or dermatologist. And then sometimes they even offer these things throughout the year at very low cost. Like I'll get tips from people. They'll say, I think like Methodist or some other place will say, hell, we'll have like a skin screening test where they'll just look at your body, look for changes, and they'll just document what they see. And if you do that every year or so, then that will be beneficial also. So our goal is ending cancer. That's why I say I just want people to go anywhere. Yes, MD Anderson does this as well too, but please just do what you can to keep yourself safe, share this information, and keep other people safe. All right, and this is where you can go if you want to do more of these programs. We do different types of screenings or presentations on all these different topics, on different specific cancer types, on just things you can do to reduce your risk, so nutrition and health. We even have like puppet shows for young kids, which is always a lot of fun. So we just go to mdanderson.org/community, and you can request a program. Like I said before, they are always free. Or if you just want print materials or giveaways for an event, that's another thing we do. We do exhibits as well too. Okay. All right. So I will check for questions. I know that we're gonna. I can do questions now or later.
We can do questions now.
Okay. You want to do questions now? Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
How far are we from commercializing the skin cancer cream that was invented by that young man? And when it's available, is it going to be prescription only, or can it be an over-the-counter?
Okay, which I'm not familiar with the man. Which
It's a young man that won the award, the scientist award, the 3M that invented the skin cancer cream.
I'm not as familiar. I do know
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry, it was soap, the skin cancer soap.
Skin cancer soap.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. That's something I'll have to look into. I think I've heard of a skin cancer soap, but, I think anything that people can do to develop to make it easier, I think a skin cancer soap would be great because people use soap all the time. And so for people who don't want to put on creams or lotions, that would be another good option. But right now, just using the creams or the lotions or wherever they put SPF, even in makeup and lipstick and all those, would be what I would advise for people to use. Okay? Yes. Hi.
I have two questions. The
Okay.
first is, what about vitamin D? Do we still get enough vitamin D if we wear sunscreen?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. So you will still get vitamin D from the sun with the sunscreen, so it won't block that out. So yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of people are concerned about that too.
Okay, and the second one was like all these pictures, like there's not really context for how big they are. Like you said, for the diameter, it was like
Yeah.
6 inches. That's
6 millimeters. Yeah. So
6
did I say
millimeters.
inches?
Okay.
Okay, so sorry.
Okay,
That
okay.
would be huge, right? Yeah, 6 millimeters, yes.
Okay, so if it's smaller than that, it's probably,
Well, it's really, I don't want to just put it on that either. You want to look at yourself, you want to notice any changes that are developing. It could be smaller and big inside, right? So if you have like something that's really dark, if it's, you want to go through those ABCs that I mentioned, like asymmetry, size, but size is just one of them. If it's darkening, if it's asymmetrical, if it seems to be changing or evolving, you want to have it looked at. And sometimes it's better safe than sorry. Like I never want anyone to just wonder, I don't know if this is skin cancer or not, just go and have it looked at, right? And if a doctor can rule it out, and they say, okay, this is not skin cancer, then at least it alleviates that worry and concern. So I always say go there. So even if it's, 2 millimeters, but yet it seems odd or different or concerning to you, I would have it looked at. Yeah, great question. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, not a question, comment.
Okay.
I'm a retired genetic counselor. So I just wanted to add on a comment that I'm sure you're aware of is not all cancers are genetic, but not all cancers are inherited. However, some are. So should you be diagnosed with a skin cancer or another type of cancer, it's important to figure out what's going on there because you may have relatives at risk.
Yes, very true. And I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people think that if they don't have a genetic history of something, they don't have to worry about cancer, and that's not true. So, there's a lot of people who develop cancer who have no known genetic history of it. So it's something where I tell people just make sure that you share that information. And I know a lot of people in history just kind of kept their personal history private, even from their family members. But you want to share that information too, so that if you have a trend of a certain type of cancer developing in your family, you need to share that with other people so that they know to look out for it. So yes, thanks for bringing that up. Yes, hi.
Hi. What's the dermatological consensus on rub-on versus spray sunscreen?
Ooh, as far as I'm aware, I think the only preference is it depends on a person and their activity level. So if someone is sweating a lot and everything, then maybe they might use like more something that's going to stick to their skin better. So then they might use more creams. And they'll say that when you're purchasing or trying to choose an SPF protecting something, cream or spray. So I think it's just whatever it's the preference. It's there. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Hi.
You had mentioned that skin cancer rates are going up for people of all ages. I'm curious what the evidence is or what the belief is about why that would be. I would have predicted the
goodness, yeah.
opposite because people are more aware they're wearing sunscreen and we stay at home and we're indoors a lot more often. People of all ages are.
Yeah, very good question. Very good question. As far as they know, and this is just what I know so far, is that they're not fully sure why. And I think the one that they know that's increasing is melanoma. Melanoma is just typically more rare. It just seems to be increasing, and that could be. Gosh, there's so many theories. It could be more environmental factors, that maybe are added to different things. There's all types of chemicals and things that we're exposed to that we can't really control. There are things that are in the air, on our clothes, that could also contribute to that as well too. So I don't really have an answer for it, but I think the main thing I tell people is to not underestimate your gut and also looking at your body and you being your first health advocate. I think sometimes people depend a lot on something being big, like they think, oh, that's a really big, mole or something is happening, and they wait until it gets to that point before they go to a doctor. But sometimes, and when a doctor would talk to them, say, well, it's been this way for 10 years. And it's like, well, why did you come in sooner, right? So, but yeah, so I hope that at least touches on it a little bit. Yes.
Hi. Does skin cancer vary with the person's melatonin or skin color?
That is
I
a
don't want to
great-
be politically incorrect.
Yeah,
or
no.
anything, but-
That's a great question. And that's one thing I like to address. It does not matter. So, of course, melanin in your skin is a little bit of protection from some types of skin cancers, but it does not alleviate that. So even someone as dark as myself still needs to wear sunscreen. So that's kind of a theory that people have had, or belief that people have had. And even it's so interesting because when I go out to different, I say, events, and I'll give people sunscreen, the darker they are, they're like, oh, I don't need sunscreen. I'm like, yes, you do. I got to tell them that every time because they believe that they don't need the sunscreen. So the melanin can be protective, but there's many dark-skinned people that still develop skin cancer. So it's not going to be everything. Yeah, so great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
My question is, I know you mentioned we should have at least SPF 30. Is there any benefit to having like 70 or whatever?
Yeah, it's just more protection, more protection. So if someone's really fair or more likely to burn, or if they spend a lot of time outside, or maybe they want something that's going to be a little bit longer lasting, then yeah, you can go higher in the SPF. And some people know that about themselves. Like I have a very close friend, and she can be out in the sun and she'll burn so quickly. I'd be like, you're burning already. And she'll wear sunscreen, but she has to reapply it. And so she ended up going to a higher SPF, and she can go longer without having to, so that can help. Yeah, definitely.
I have a question, but first just a reminder to everyone that the risk factor for exposure is cumulative over your lifetime. So definitely worth, investing in it while you're young.
Yes.
My question is, you didn't mention in the characteristics of the moles or whatever, roughness, shedding of the skin. Is that a characteristic of one, cancerous,
Yes.
non-cancerous, both?
Yeah, so it can be, I know that for the ones that are more common, okay, so the two that I first mentioned that are more common, like your squamous skin cancer carcinoma and the basal cell carcinoma, there could be some shedding that happens there, but and sometimes it can be rough, but sometimes it cannot be rough. And so that, I think the biggest thing that people will think about, they'll think that if they see a rough patch of skin, they'll put a cream on it and it's still rough, right? And that could be a precancerous area that's there. But the goal is just, that's why I tell people, instead of guessing or wondering, to just get it checked out. Because a lot of times people come to me and ask, like, is this skin cancer? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a medical doctor. But so sometimes you can have some rough patches, and that could be a sign. That could be a change. If it wasn't very rough and now it's become more rough or scaly or changing or in any way, then that's something you want to have it looked at. Yes.
Hi, I had a question. We're all familiar with the sun causing skin cancer. Is there from getting too much sunlight or something, being out in the sun too long, exposed and stuff? Is there any kind of reverse of that also, where it's like if you don't get any sunlight or vitamin D in some way, that actually causes skin cancer?
That I'm not sure of. Like, I know vitamin D is very important, and most people are, just from my own personal knowledge, are low in vitamin D. And so maybe that's something that they will discover. But as far as I know, they don't know of a reverse where people who have super low vitamin D getting skin cancer because they're not getting exposure. And so that, who knows? I personally have not heard of that. But I do know that vitamin D has its own protective factors, and you get that from the sun as well too. And I would hope, especially being somewhere, being Houstonians, being somewhere sunny where it's almost hard not to get that exposure, you might have higher rates of people with vitamin D here versus, let's say, other places where people don't get that. So I'm not aware of any studies or people where they're noticing higher rates of skin cancer in those places. Yeah, but great question. I'm curious now. I have to find out. Okay, yes.
How long does my sunscreen stay good for?
It depends. Sunscreen, it can be from 4 to 6 hours. Some of them can be even longer. Like I know some of the higher SPFs can be even longer. I know like my kids, I think their cream lasts for like, it says 8 hours, but I still reapply it on them 6 hours because they're rough and they rub on things and I just assume it comes out.
Like, how long does it stay good for?
How long does it stay good for? Usually about a year, and it should have that on the packaging. So yeah, so about a year. So that's something else, I'm glad you brought that up. Please pay attention to that, right? Because sometimes people, I've seen so many, like I have twin well, they just turned 8-year-old boys, and I see so many people who will put skincare cream on their kids, and they just think it's gonna last them the whole day, right? Or maybe they had it, it's like 3 years old, and it's expired. So you wanna pay attention to that too, just like you would for anything else. You wanna make sure those ingredients stay active. Yes. Yes.
This is more of a cautionary tale because I
Okay.
think that with skin cancer, there, like what you showed, there are larger spots. And I've had lots of skin cancers burned off, et cetera. But I had a little speck.
Okay.
It felt like the beginning of a pimple on the end of my nose. For 3 months, I went to see my doctor. I wound up having most of the end of my nose cut off to get the roots out.
Yeah.
So it's not always the big things that you see.
Exactly.
If you have a little flaky thing that just won't go away,
Yeah.
you know, it's good to have somebody at least look at it.
Yes, I'm glad thank you for bringing that up. I've heard some stories of like, I've known one woman in particular, and I've read more things where some people had like little specks of melanoma underneath their nail beds. And these were both women, and they covered their nails all the time in like toenail polish. And then that tiny speck ended up being a melanoma that had kind of spread to other parts. And so they were trying to find the root of it, and it ended up being under their nail bed. So again, so shocking, right? But that's another reason why you just want to pay attention to your body. And sometimes you won't see everything, right? It's hard to do that. So talking to someone will help. Yeah. Okay.
So I think that brings up a good question, though. Melanoma appeared in a place that wasn't necessarily exposed to the sun on a regular
Yes.
basis. What's the preponderance of a melanoma occurring in areas that are generally exposed to the sun versus generally covered?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if it's just the body's response to different things or where abnormal cell growth develops. Because you think that like the areas that are covered, exposed to the sun are going to develop the skin cancers. And most of the times that's what happens, but not all the time. Sometimes certain cancers can just grow in an area that is not exposed to the sun. And so that's another reason why you just want to pay attention to your whole body. So yeah, I'm not sure of. Yeah. Yes, hi.
It's kind of a follow-up on Verena's question, having to do with nail salons and where they have the UV light treatment. Could that have something to do with the development of skin cancer?
I know UV light because the SPF protects you for a little bit from that. So that is something I've not heard of that. So I'll have to check and see. I don't know if using that causes that at all. I don't think so, but I'll have to check and see about, or maybe look into that. I've not heard any specific research linking, the UV light, like if you're at a nail salon, to certain skin cancers. So it's like sometimes some questions I can't answer, but it always makes me curious to kind of find out more. So I'll have to find out more. Okay. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I heard in the past there was sunscreen that was then later associated with actually increasing skin cancer. So I guess what is the good sunscreen versus the bad, and what went wrong, so that I'm not doing more harm than good by using sunscreen?
Yes, I appreciate that question. And you're right. I think that in the development, the sunscreens of the past, just like the tanning beds, they used to say, oh yeah, this is safe. And then people would do it for many years and they found out that it isn't. If you're using more of your modern sunscreens that you purchase, they have to go through rigorous testing and follow certain standards that usually are up to date in what they can put in a product and what they can no longer put in a product. products. So if you're purchasing skin SPF creams or sprays now, they're going to be considered safe, okay? As long as you're using the SPF of 30 or higher. Now, if you're somewhere and someone has one from, I don't know, 30 years ago, number one, it's no longer good, but I wouldn't use anything that's not following the safety standards that are purchased here in the U.S. that I know of. Other places could also have those as well too that could be safe, but I just know that now the things they make now are going to be better. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. All right.
All right, thank you so much, Andrea. I know you said you're not a doctor, but you were highly informative. So thank you so much. So we will take a 12-minute coffee break. We will be back here at 11:35 to hear 2 more songs from GALVEZTON. If we could make our way back to our seats. All right. And we will be hearing 2 more songs from GALVEZTON.
Okay. This song, since we're still telling stories a little bit, there was a time last summer when things were really hot. And like I was saying earlier, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to play songs that I played here before, new songs. This is pretty new in here, but last summer when things were really hot, you forget it's ever going to be cold again. And I was out playing music during the daytime, and all hot and sweaty, and I had a near-death experience, and wrote the song a few days later. And I got a new record coming out. We got a few records back there, but the next record, y'all being from Houston, it's a collection of 9 or 10 love songs called The Ocean Cabaret. And it's gonna be coming out later on this year. But this one song, we wrote in one day and recorded it. And I got a little girl. And she just turned 3 years old yesterday. Yeah, and she sings this song. And she doesn't really sing any of my songs, you know. She likes to sing Jingle Bells or Happy Birthday. She loves Happy Birthday song. But every time I make recordings, I kind of like bring them home and play them while I'm working on them. And she just started singing along with this one. So I said, okay, well, we got to keep this one around and put it on the record. So she says, my little girl, my little girl. And then she goes into talking about my girl. Every time. All right, here it is. I took all my time and sold it for space. I found that I'd lost that old human race. I found my reflection lying face down, and I learned in the desert that a man can still drown. Please give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. Give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. My little girl, my little girl. We just can't make it on our own. Just can't make it out here all alone. Give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. Please give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. My little girl, my little girl. There was a time I wished I was gone, but when I had left, I knew I was wrong. This life is too short to go out like that. This life is too short. I wanna come back. Give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. Give me a one-way ticket back to your heart. My little girl, my little girl, my little girl, my little girl. Yeah. Yeah, Ocean Cabaret coming out later this year. Follow Galveston wherever you listen to music at. It's Galveston with a Z. Last time I was here, getting ready for the Sandcastle. Any of y'all remember that? It was in September. Yeah, that was a really interesting day. A lot of folks from Houston came down and for the Architects Associate, the AIA Architects. And they've been doing the Sandcastle Festival down there, and they got us to collaborate with them. And it was a really fun event. We're going to keep on doing it. Everyone wants to party again next year in September, so y'all stay tuned and come on down for that if you want to. We also put on something called La Izquierda, surf and music festival in Galveston, the first week of May. Lots of bands, and it's a longboard surf competition and music festival that goes on down there on 22nd and Seawall. And with the proceeds we raise, we put on a lot of other concerts throughout the year. We put on free music shows for the communities of Galveston. It's got a whole nonprofit that formed up around it and has a board and everything that meets to make sure it keeps going and happening. But it's coming the first week of May, La Izquierda Surf and Music Festival. It's going to be a good time. This is called The Boat Song. I'm going to play this one song and we get out of here and hang out. If you want any kind of merch or swag or anything, we got that thing back there, T-shirts and records and books. And the song, The Boat Song, it's about, sometimes you just want to get away sometimes. I remember when I first met you, and it was all a dream. Then when I awoke, I'd forgotten everything. I saw the lightning strike, I heard the thunder roar. The only thing that matters is love, but you're changing. Well, I'm changing too. It's what we're all going through. And I'm grateful for everything we have. But I've had enough. I'm going out on a boat. I hear the people talking, they all say they know the truth. The only thing I know is that I feel confused. They tell us what to think, they tell us what to say. Well, I'm feeling like somewhere on the road we've lost the way. But you're changing. Well, I'm changing too. It's what we all do. And I'm grateful for everything we have. But I've had enough. I'm going out on a boat. So I'm waiting for time to pass, but it passes slow. So I'm standing on the shore, but I ain't gonna wait no more. I'm going out on a boat. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much. And he does have merch back on the table if you would like to help yourself to some of it. Right now, we will be hearing an announcement from our own Paige Williams, and she will be talking about an event.
Well, I'll sound like I'm putting, are you coming to correct me, Kevin? Okay. I'll sound like I'm a publicist for the Holocaust Museum of Houston, and I'm not even a member, but they have an exhibit there that I just really want you all to think about going. It's Life and Death on the Border, 1910 to 1920. That seems to be a time that we were even harder than we normally are on our Mexican neighbors. And the Bullock Museum in Austin curated this exhibit, and I went to see it in 2016. And so now it's traveling, and it's at the Holocaust Museum. And they say this exhibit examines the hardships faced by people of Mexican descent on the border between Texas and Mexico in the second decade of the 20th century. And it's a pretty breaking thing to see, but I think it's important for people to see. So I've got little flyers in the back that tell you their hours to go. And I think it's especially important to take your kids and take them for free. So I'm just urging everybody to go. And I noticed, too, that they have another exhibit at the same time called The Liberators. And I saw that they're bringing it back. I saw it when the Holocaust Museum was remodeling and enlarging, and they were temporarily south of Loop 610. And that's the Texas people that were in the military that actually liberated the camps at the end of World War II. And that's pretty tear-jerking, too. And there's some last names there that you would recognize, like Marcus, as in, Neiman Marcus, and then just some people that just happened to be among those that liberated the camps. And some of them didn't even know that there were camps until they stumbled onto them. And then they took a few of them and enlarged their pictures and put big quotes next to them. And the one I remember best said, it was a Hispanic guy who said, "I asked my Lord to remove the image from my brain, but it is with me still, especially the children." So anyway, there's some really great things at the Holocaust Museum, and it's going to be there till the end of May. So take a flyer home and think about it.
Thank you, Paige. At this time, our wonderful sound and visual crew, if I would ask y'all to, we're going to close down for the streaming as we make some few announcements and have a few things we want to say. We would ask that y'all bear with us. As they're doing that, I would like to